Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is the November 10 Select Board meeting for the town of Plainfield. We're starting at 6 o'clock, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Any changes to the agenda?
I'm tracking one change in sequence, which is the East Village expansion next steps needs to be moved beyond the executive session with the attorney.
Okay,
So it's the second to last.
yep, okay, I marked that. Anything else?
I have something, but it's not change.
You what?
I have something, but it's not change. Because of the, can I say it now?
Is it an announcement or a change?
It's an
to the
announcement.
agenda? Well,
It's
then,
an
then
announcement.
no, just wait a second.
Fine.
Yeah, we can have an announcement now if you'd like. 'Cause I think
Oh,
there's-
okay.
There's no more changes.
Okay, because Thanksgiving is coming and it's been so dark and awful and everyone's been working so hard and some people might feel discouraged. I want to tell you guys a little known fact is that what do you get when you clone a turkey and an octopus?
What?
Enough drumsticks for everybody.
All right.
I was going to announce the town committee vacancies as part of the announcement.
Well, I
section.
was gonna thank you for doing that, but you can do
Oh,
that.
you can thank
I was going to
me.
thank
I'll be
Francis
at the
Rose for
meeting.
posting on
Yay,
Front Porch
Francis Rose
Forum
is the
all the
best.
vacancies we have in town,
Yeah.
which I counted to 19
Yeah.
currently. And,
That's almost as many people as in this room.
yeah, wow, we could pick everyone here.
We'll just pick everyone and assign everybody a job.
Okay, but thanks for doing that. Do you want to read them off? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not going to
okay.
read everything, but okay, friends. This town runs on volunteers and some dedicated employees. On the volunteer position side of things, the many commissions and committees and official roles in town, many of which are empty right now. We need help. Doesn't have to be you, but it could be your friends, could be your partners, could be you. Cemetery Commission, 3 vacancies. Conservation Commission, 4 vacancies.
Wow.
Planning Commissioner, just 1. You can have more than 1, but Will says 5 is a good number. Karen Story is offering to train a zoning administrator to shadow her for the foreseeable future until that person is ready to step into that role fully. The Development Review Board is looking for 2 more people. Our Emergency Management Director is stepping down after annual meeting, May. Carl Bissix is not seeking re-election on the Select Board. 3 auditors. You do not need accounting experience to be an auditor. Accessibility Committee is looking for 2 more. Jody Velarde is looking for a Deputy Health Officer. Recreation Committee is looking for 1 more. And the grants team, grant administrators are looking for 1 to 2. Be a rainmaker. There you go. For your information, pass the word around.
People aren't leaping up, but thank you for that. Public comment? Okey dokey. Can we go to the town clerk's report? And we would ask you to use the mic and state your name when you're anyone who's going to be talking on the mic. Thanks.
Brent Tobin, town clerk. Just want to review. We had the elections went well. I want to make a note regarding absentee ballots. There were 2 people who were not able to cast their votes because even though we sent the ballots out a week and a half ahead of time, they never arrived. And with many of the people, the arrival dates, one person who lives directly across from the municipal building, it took about 9 days for the ballot to arrive. So I really just want to caution people regarding absentee voting. I think that this is something that I think this is the new normal, and things are really out of kilter. I also want to just follow up.
Just make one. Just, so, town meeting day, folks need to request a ballot. They can do it now for town meeting day, they can go into the system, right? And then they would
I
get sent out.
haven't set up that election yet, but maybe by next meeting, they
Okay.
probably
And then
will.
primaries in August next year, you need to request a ballot. And then the November election next year, automatically every qualified voter receives a ballot around 45 days before the election.
Except, I think that has to be, I can't remember if that's okay for.
Just the general election. It
Okay,
is.
for the general election.
Everybody will get a ballot.
Everybody, okay, because they keep on going back and forth. Some years they do, some years they don't. But
It's now state law, every November.
Got it, okay,
Election.
right. Yeah, so you can also, it would be best if you, elections are completed for this year, so the best thing to do would be after the first, just the way the system works, you can go online and request an absentee ballot for the rest of the year. And that's a calendar year, so I would sort of log on and I'll remind everybody. On a technical note, the Board of Civil Authority every 2 years goes through and purges names of people who are no longer in town, et cetera. From the checklist, we were supposed to do this in September, but unfortunately the school issued an election which we weren't prepared for, and you're not allowed to purge anybody 90 days before an election. So we have a list of, there's probably about 85 people that we need to get off the rolls, and that will require a Board of Civil Authority meeting. But in order not to run into another 90 days before an election problem, we have to do it before December 3rd, so it'll probably be next select board meeting, there will be a small Board of Civil Authority meeting. Following up on what Francis was discussing, I think that it would be good if the select board had a committee to talk about the listers. Unfortunately, we're losing one of our best listers is moving on, Gary Smith. So there's going to be an opening for the lister, but I also wonder if this might be a time for the board to examine the role of the lister versus an assessor. There's a technical difference. One requires more training and more certification. Ironically, one of our listers is officially an assessor. I think it would be good for Kaylee and Sandy to just discuss this as a possible option for the board. In addition, maybe the board might want to look at having appointees rather than elections for certain positions. I can't remember if the cemetery commission is elected, but I think it would make things run smoother if we identified which positions might be better served, since no one's stepping up as appointed positions, because that might give us flexibility to go outside of the Plainfield town line. So just some stuff to think about. I think that's about it.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you
Oh,
very
and
much.
sorry, and you asked me to follow up regarding insurance. If we adopted the no trespass rule, they're looking into it and haven't gotten back to me yet, but I'll have something for next meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks. We have listed a constable report, but I don't see them online. Dan's not online?
No, I don't see them.
I believe he gave us a note not that long ago that Monday evenings are hard for him
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be in person. He came last time on a Tuesday evening, so we may want to just remove this, and I know he sends us paper reports
Right.
monthly.
Yep, okay.
We were in touch. He left. Give me a second. But we can move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
Grant administrator report.
Evening all. Brief report, since I gave you a report in full a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just an update, and this is a really good one. The grant that has been put together for the study of the Great Brook from the top to the bottom that has moved forward, and we are now organizing a meeting with the consultant who's been hired from SLR Consulting, Roy Schiff, and the other consultants who've been working with Josh on the federal highway plans for Great Brook, for the Brook Road. And so tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock, the small grants team that's working on this grant project will meet to plan a larger meeting with the consultants, and we'll announce when that is, because I understand there'll probably be some interest in folks learning more about that. And that
Will that be at the municipal office?
we'll figure that out, but the meeting tomorrow is at
Tomorrow
the
is-
municipal office.
Yeah, that's what I was
upstairs,
asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl.
Yeah.
And other than that, there really isn't anything else to report on at this point.
Okay.
That's great news.
Any
Thank you,
any
Karen.
questions?
Thank
From
you.
anyone? No? Okay, thanks, Karen. Michael?
Yeah, quickly to add that although I posted it on.
Gotta use the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Can you use this one?
I was thinking I could talk to the owl from that distance.
Mhm.
Just to say, Michael Billingsley, that I had posted on Front Porch Forum and Plainfield People that there was to be helicopter overflights to begin that study that was just referenced. Those overflights keep being postponed because of rain and bad weather. So it's still possible they will happen by the end of the week. George Springston and I are working with the engineer to try and coordinate how that study impacts townspeople, and we'll keep you informed.
Thank you. So if we hear a low helicopter, not
Thank
to
you,
be
Michael.
alarmed.
We'll jump aboard.
Next item on the agenda is the EVAC report.
Everything's been Marie. It was Donnie Austin's turn, but he asked if I could step in for him to give a few updates, so I'll do that. I basically just wanted to provide a sense of where the committee currently is with the scope of work that was provided by the select board, just given that this is a good time to sort of see where we are. The scope of work as defined in the document, sorry, just one section here.
Aaron, can you angle the microphone down a little bit?
Yeah, thanks, sorry, it's hard for me to read and hold my head like this. So the scope of work is the EVAC will prioritize developing a detailed budget and financing options with the goal of getting a public vote as soon as possible on the project. We have something related to that. The budget shall include detailed engineering, permitting, construction costs, including roads, sidewalk, trees, planting, water, sewer, stormwater, electricity, telephone, internet, as well as project management. It was completely in the grant application that was submitted for the Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery, or also known as the CDBG-DR funding. The EVAC will recommend expenditures to the Select Board, also contained in that budget. The EVAC will recommend contracts to the Select Board, such as testing, engineering, construction, and municipal project management. We have recommended a lot of details associated with that and the roles, but there's not specific contracts that are in place, and that would be maybe subject to the rules of the funding that would be used to fund them. But that, in terms of who those roles are and what is needed, that is also clearly defined in the grant application. EVAC will make informed design recommendations by soliciting feedback from both community members and relevant experts. There is additional work to do on that. There has been some significant feedback to date, as you all are aware of, but there also is additional work to do there. The EVAC will make process recommendations about decisions such as how to sell parcels and pricing. There is a draft plan in the grant application. There is a little more work to do on that, such as the exact entity or the exact process for coming up with entities to sell the land and the parcels. The EVAC will develop and prepare all permitting applications for the Select Board to submit on behalf of the town. There are no formal permitting applications that have been prepared to date. There have been preliminary conversations with regulators having to do with stormwater and wetlands. And the wetlands issue, as many people are aware, wetlands issue is subject to an executive order that is currently being, I guess, legally challenged. And but A&R has issued draft new rules that they're planning to finalize in light of that executive order. And we did receive a Act 250 exemption. The EVAC will develop an execution plan for overseeing day-to-day construction, recommending professional agents. That is contained within the grant application. EVAC will coordinate with other town committees and departments directly as needed, such as water and wastewater, roads, planning, rec, and public arts. Many of those committees, or I would actually say all of them, have been briefed on the project and plans to date, and many of them have provided specific letters, essentially certifying that they would be able to provide service as proposed. EVAC will regularly share public progress reports, including compromises made to remediate the perceived harms caused by the project. This would be a progress report, along with others that have been done by Liz and Donnie. The EVAC will establish a guide working groups towards the goal of village expansion. We do have several working groups that have come to generate most of the stuff that we've done to date. And we'll appoint one or more liaisons to the select board with that, with Liz and Donnie. So in terms of the scope of the work that the select board had laid out, just in summary, most of that has been done. There are a few details regarding permitting, some additional public input, and sorry, what was the other one? And lot sales that still have to need a little bit of work, but otherwise, largely, the scope of work has been accomplished to date, and that is the summary. Any questions?
Thank you.
Well, we certainly thank you for all this work you and others have been putting together.
Indeed.
It's helpful to try to
So much
organize it.
work. Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, when's the next meeting? Maybe Thursday, I don't know.
We're skipping the next steps, the Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee.
Well, I guess just to note, well, I guess for those who came in late, we hope, Arian, that the committee is meeting on Thursday, because we're in part waiting for word from you all as an advisory body. This impacts where we go, like what the EVIAC committee thinks together. And then meanwhile, we have a meeting later on at the end of this meeting with our town real estate attorney.
Right.
And so we're not going to speak any of the select board perceptions around next steps until we've had that conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So the Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee, who can describe what that is going to entail?
I just posted it today to the Front Porch Forum. Did anybody read it?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, great. Is there one for a summary, or do we kind of just have a sense about what this is, what it means, and where we're going? I'm hearing whispers for summary. All right.
I mean, I think for a public open meeting, you guys need to have a conversation about that.
Oh, no, we're about to, but I guess I didn't know, we've all read it.
Okay.
I know that we've all read it. This was courtesy in case y'all want deeper in. Should we just talk to ourselves about it?
No, I think you should just let everybody know, just like it was an open meeting, even if you had it in email, it should be part of your open meeting to explain what you're discussing and then have that discussion.
Fair enough. It's been, this idea to explore the other strategies that this town has available to create housing, to create livable properties that will add to the grand list and lower taxes. Many in this room have come up with many strong ideas. And the thing the select board is looking for is to bring these strong ideas to the stage, to the phase of proposal. I think, one of the strengths of the EVIAC committee is it turned an idea into a proposal. and that is an actionable thing for the select board. And so broadly, the Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee is something that I hope, I don't know, that we're going to vote into being before your very eyes, and that between 5 and 9 will join that committee and make things happen. The structure of it is similar to the EVAC committee in that, you know, many people can be a part of it. Working groups, there are going to be sub-working groups that don't have to be formally on the committee, that get to enrich the work of whatever the committee is working on. And that number can grow to whatever number the committee, you know, as long as the committee wants that exploration to happen, is basically how it goes. So that is the proposal. The verbiage is on the website. The verbiage is on Front Porch Forum. Yeah.
The organizational.
Yeah, the charge, if you will.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to quite get it started, but speaking as one, my goal has always been to get affordable housing in town that both replaces what we've lost in the flood and helps us grow at a reasonable amount. I've been talking to Michael Davidson, who's the new owner of the Goddard campus. He is interested, but he's not going to be the one, I think, who's going to supply new housing. He's going to have apartments to rent, but he's not building a lot of houses. So if there's other ideas, we'd sure like to hear them. For me, that's my thought.
I'm going to suppose, are there any questions either from the board or from anybody else?
I have a question.
Yeah,
If it's open to,
yeah, get to the mic, please, name.
David Checkman. What is the relationship between this proposed committee and the Plainfield Forward? I saw that a lot of the language is the same. I've kind of assumed will be one committee,
Yeah.
but the notices I got from the Plainfield Forward organizers and the meeting on the 20th made it seem, I don't have any clarity about that.
Sure.
So that's my question.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I spoke with Laura Cabin-Bailey this last week. She noted that Plainfield is, not for the first time, but it is unusual in its organization and kind of on top of things. What they're accustomed to, VCRD, is ad hoc community groups, supporting ad hoc community groups to do good things. But because this is kind of merging with select board intention to formally create an advisory body that is reporting to us the findings, that is what makes the moment unique. And temporally, it's like happening almost at the same time. So the meeting on the 20th is for anyone who was at Plainfield Forward or who wasn't, but who heard about it and wants to be, gets to go to that meeting. And VCRD is going to facilitate that meeting as they will. She knows, though, about this moment and this committee. And so in part, that is going to be a brainstorm moment, I believe. It's also going to be a sorting moment. Who in that space at that time is interested in the committee? Who is interested in supporting in a less time-consuming role to be on a working group, for example? What is that working group? Hopefully it will come out clarity-wise at that meeting. Meanwhile, anything that is not yet sorted, I think she knows, Laura, this is the VCRD Laura, knows that this is, I don't even know, a feeder into this committee, this effort, this role, uniquely. So the hope is that one flows into the other, to summarize.
And we asked the VCRD to help us organize our thinking a little bit, to think about the future, and housing was certainly one of the big items that was focused on. So they're interested in seeing how their work, I think, has come along. And this development of this committee would certainly play into that exact issue. Go right ahead.
It's Michael Brown. I'm a little confused as to the timing of the selection of the membership of the committee. Is it going to be after the 20th and the VCRD meeting?
Yes,
So not tonight?
not tonight.
Not tonight.
Although you may leave your names and interests with us.
And co-chairs, will they be selected by the membership of the committee or by the select board?
Membership of the committee.
Yeah. Well, what we did with the EVEAC was, Francis Rose and I hosted the first EVEAC meeting, created an agenda that included the election of co-chairs. We had a vote of those members. They voted for the 3 co-chairs, and from after that meeting, then they were responsible for running the meeting. So the select board will call the first meeting of this committee, since they won't have chairs, and they will elect chairs, and then the chairs will take over.
So that all sounds good to me. I would hope there will be outreach through all the different ways before the 20th to encourage people to look at this charge and to look at what VCRD has written and to be ready to consider the membership of this committee so that people don't, not everyone knows yet, and we want to spread the word.
Yeah.
And
We want you to.
if I may, I mean, using EVAC as the template, we announced the committee, and then either a meeting or 2 later, we announced that applications were fully open. Then we had a select board member talk with anyone who applied to get a sense, and then we had a meeting to actually bring people on. So my guess is this is gonna be a multiple select board meeting process to get to the committee. It's not gonna happen fast.
Okay, and have
Yeah.
you decided that is that the procedure you're likely to follow again?
I feel comfortable with that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess my question is there a reason we can't open up to interested parties today? Can we like include, if we bring it into being, can we ask for interest? You said it was like a meeting later that we opened up.
Well, we can, yeah, we still have to, I mean,
I know, I get that there's steps,
Yeah.
and we need to talk to the people.
yes.
But I mean, I suppose, I think I'd be interested in acknowledging that if we bring it into being, that signals openness, that we're willing to receive interest, statements of interest, and then we will follow up, we will follow back.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly do that.
I think
We created a form and stuff last time, so we could have all the statements of interest go to one place that isn't tied to one specific select board member, and that everyone has access.
That's a great idea.
So we may want to figure out how to do that before we put it.
And I remember receiving a list, and I called people
Yeah.
who were on that list to just talk to them about what we were hoping to do. So I'd see the same process, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound good to everybody? Yeah.
As I recall, each of you had a list of people to call, but none of you called, no 2 of you called the same people?
That's not true.
That's not true?
We made sure everyone was called, but then there were people who were like, I'd also be interested in talking to this person, and so we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't hamstring that you couldn't call someone. It was just making sure that we actually got through to everyone, or tried to get through to everyone. Not everyone answered our calls.
Thank you.
Right. So I guess what the next step then is to, oh, yeah,
Question.
go ahead.
My
Alana.
name's Elena Norway.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how you came up with the number 5 to 9, and if you had a number in mind when you made the other committee, or if you looked at how much interest there was, or...
I can take responsibility for it. 9 is definitely preferred to 5. The amount of work we're talking about.
Right, that's what I was thinking. 'cause
It's
they have
like
11,
9 is definitely
right?
preferred. I think I probably even shouldn't have led with 5 to 9. I should have led with 9. I think that's how it's articulated. And, you know, as I read earlier, we have so many committees that are half full of vacancies that are still doing work. And blessed be.
Okay, thank you.
And I think the language in the proposal is up to 9, so that way we're not hamstrung where if there's only 7 people, then theoretically they shouldn't be meeting or they don't have the full membership. It's to give some space, but I think the 11 was a compromise that folks may remember. Some people came and said we should have a committee of 5 or 7 people. Someone had an idea of a 21-person committee for the EV committee, and it was a compromise of trying to make sure we had enough perspectives without having so many people that it was unruly and hard to deal.
And if the early Plainfield Housing Advisory Committee together votes that they want to increase numbers on their committee, vote.
Yeah.
And let us know.
Yeah.
It is adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlie was standing up, but he didn't.
Thank you. Charlie Conville. What I'm hearing now sounds like a fait accompli. We have a proposal on the table that was first circulated, I guess, today. I would like to see some formal discernment about that proposal before you start to plan and go back and forth of what the proposal will be. Discuss what it is now, and please, if you will, make a motion at some point to open the discussion of it so that the public can hear what your logic is, what your discernment is, and what your decision is. And I want to also make a point that the proposals I saw very quickly, and I read it very quickly, has many aspects of the charge to the East Village Advisory Committee. In fact, in verbatim, it has some of the same objectives. And I ask you, what is the relationship between this coming committee and the East Village Advisory Committee?
The relationship is they're both tasked with creating the possibility for housing. Yeah.
EVAC is for a very specific project. This is for any other project.
To be defined.
Yeah, and just so folks know, if they haven't seen we will put this into the minutes of the meeting, obviously, and it is available publicly. Francis Rose shared today, but it's really just to set out the goals, the role, the scope of work, the term of the committee, which is indefinite, but then also the term of the individual members, how co-chairs will be selected, the allowance for working groups, and then just like some other things to think about, making sure it's a public process, requiring folks to do open meeting laws training if they're going to be part of the committee, setting up how the first meeting is going to be called by the select board, which is the way that we did it.
Yeah, we're trying to.
And just to note, to debate this or talk about it, we don't have to have a motion first. We can talk about it. Once we have a motion and a second, we can continue debate. But it's not required that we wait for that, Charlie.
I didn't say it.
You just asked us to make a motion.
I said you could make a motion.
That's not what you
I would
said.
accept.
It's not what you said.
I'm Jake McBride. Michael Birnbaum, you had just suggested different ways of getting information out to people, and I guess I felt like I didn't quite get like the full closure on that. I guess I'm just curious like what all the different ways are, because I'd love to just like get that on record to make sure that it does happen and all the different avenues are used to reach all of the people. So just wanted to kind of get that. Am I not speaking loud enough? Sorry. Just wanted to get that on record. Like, are we putting out posters? Are we sending this out via email? Yeah, I guess I'm curious because I get most of my information through the internet, and I know that a lot of people don't. So just making sure that everyone's getting the info.
Fair question. Do you have some thoughts on how to do that?
I did not, but I can think on my feet. I was assuming there's two internet ways that people get information. One is Plainfield People and the other is Front Porch Forum, and I'm sure that those would be good avenues. There was a proposal not too long ago that I think it was actually a Plainfield Forward, that we develop a communication system for the town, which would involve a newsletter that would go out periodically to all the residents in the town. I think that it's a wonderful idea that should be pursued.
Is that
I don't expect that could happen this quickly.
You'd see that as a mailer rather than electronic?
mail it.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that
Because
reaches,
it would reach people who aren't.
right,
Even people who use the internet, many don't use it the way some of us do.
Right,
And
right.
it's another better way of reaching people.
okay.
Jake, a poster is a good idea.
Yeah, posters, yeah.
Sure. I just was urging the select board to be diligent at getting the word out. And I didn't have specific
Okay.
plans or ideas, but I'm sure we can brainstorm some more if we need to.
Well, I think the ones you came up with are probably pretty much what we.
And I will say for anything that for issues like this, on top of what you just mentioned, as far as like digital, posting on our town website, maybe posting hard copies around town, we do have a small list of folks who have let us know that they don't do electronic stuff and they prefer things to be mailed to them. And so this is something that we could certainly mail to those folks. And we have actually, as part of the mailer that went out around the vote in November, asked for folks to reach out to us, to the accessibility committee, if they wanted to be added to that list. If mail is the way that they get correspondence, that they can add themselves to this list. And so we can give it to self-selected people who use mail as the form of communication that they prefer.
So before I sit down, as long as I mentioned it, was the select board aware of that suggestion that came out of Plainfield Forward about a newsletter?
No.
No.
I remember the discussion, I didn't remember anyone volunteering to write it.
We could probably find some.
That would be great, yeah.
I think that's something that the select board should pursue, and if not, maybe ad hoc it could happen, but thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, I would add
Yep.
posting on the bulletin board, on the town office would be another place I'd like to see it. And just to, share the responsibility of it. Message relay. You're hearing the message. Help relay it on and on and on and on until it reaches the ears who need to hear it.
Hi, I'm John Broderick. Just wanted to make a suggestion that might be unpopular, but the select board does not have to take action on this, doesn't have to formalize the committee. Council on Rural Development has been doing this community visit process for decades and often come up with housing as the main issue in the town, but doesn't always mean that an ad hoc committee can't do the same thing, and in fact might even have more flexibility. Look, what it's going to come down to is a lot of individual conversations with property owners, and some will be cooperative and some will not even pick up the phone. And is that all going to be subject to the open meetings law? Because that might inhibit some of those conversations. So just wanted to suggest that ad hoc committees, ad hoc working groups might be just as effective because they have been in other communities. Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
I would just say that the previous ad hoc committee was criticized because it was not open to everybody. What we tried to do with the EVAC committee was to make sure it was on record and open. And that would be the same with this, I believe.
And then if there were 9 people on the committee, that would mean 4 people from that committee could be interacting with landowners outside of the record of open meeting.
Right.
Just to name that as, it doesn't close off that possibility completely, but I take your point, John, thank you.
And as you pointed out earlier, there's always groups that can be volunteers to support an organization that's developed.
Yeah, totally,
So-
send the working groups out.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with Francis Rose about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, on that topic, and perhaps, we didn't say it this way, but perhaps a hybrid solution is the best one, that there's a select board sanctioned committee, but the working groups are not considered subcommittees, but ad hoc working groups that work with the committee. That would free them to behave the way John's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the EVAC model that I freaked out when I thought we were gonna have a bunch of subcommittees and we were gonna have to manage on the one town Zoom account, 5 subcommittees plus EVAC plus all the other committees that exist in town. So that is the way the EVAC works, is those are ad hoc subgroup, they're working groups.
What the select board is looking for is a point people, 1 or 2 people, 3 people who who can represent what the committee's doing, so we can get information and make decisions based on the information we're getting. So if you have ad hoc committees, as, you know, under the umbrella of the formal organization, then we have the formal and we have the work getting done behind the scenes.
But to be clear, I want to make a distinction between the original ad hoc steering committee for the stage expansion and what we're talking about now. Even if they're ad hoc groups, they should be truly open and
With minutes and warnings and.
No, that would not make them ad
not
hoc.
following the open meeting rules.
That takes
but
away the
just-
ad hoc nature of it.
But they should not be exclusive in any way. They should take any input that anyone offers them.
I mean, I think that is going to be for the committee writ large
Yeah.
to weigh in on.
But yeah, I mean, that's what we are imagining, is that this is a
Well,
place
I
for
hope
many,
people take that into account.
many
That's really
ideas.
significant importance to a lot of us. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Karen?
Karen Hatcher, a good model for this is the grants group. So
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
an appointed grants administrator, but the grants group is a work group. And each grant gets a work group because there's no way that one person could do all that. And we do keep minutes, you know, we are open, we want people to participate, but we recognize that, you know, you need work groups to actually get work done. And so there's been, you know, a lot of public process where we've informed, you know, where we've made sure we're sharing what's going on and we're reporting back to the board. But that came about pretty organically because of the recovery need, right? But it's worked really well because the people who have the expertise are coming into those groups. You know, like George Springston is in the group now for this Great Brook study, right? Michael and George and a couple of other folks. But it's like, so that model does work really nicely, and it's not particularly cumbersome. I just want to offer it as we've done it, so it does work.
Thank you for that perspective. I think that is a good example. Any other thoughts from the audience? Next steps for us.
Can I make a motion to create a housing advisory committee with the mandate listed in the document above?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? And we should point out that Peter's not here. He's no doubt sipping tea in Japan right now.
He's probably sleeping right now, it's like the middle of the night. Oh, maybe it's tomorrow morning, it might be tomorrow morning.
Point taken. Okay, so we should probably set up a meeting to get this organized. You talked about the organizational meeting.
Well, I think we've got to have one or two of us create the process for getting candidates.
Okay.
And then we got to advertise, and then we
Yeah.
got to bring that back to the whole group to then make appointments.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
So I don't know, Francois, if you and I want to work on getting a form together and
Sure.
getting it promoted.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That'd be great if you guys, you did it last time and it worked well. So that'd be the next step. And anyone obviously out there who's interested in joining this advisory committee should come forward to one of the select members and we'll make note of it and make a list.
Can we do that right now?
Yes.
I think there's several people here who are interested and.
You can put up your hands, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Okay.
As I
Great.
said months ago, and I'll follow the process and
Mm-hmm.
participate as I can.
Any other hands in the room?
Bunch of people, great.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. You're interested in that, okay.
Go ahead.
No, I think volunteering.
Oh, volunteering, okay. You got that, Francis?
Yeah, I got David, Janice, Alana,
And also,
Vicky, Tammy, and who, I just heard a voice. I did say Janice, I did say
yeah,
Janice.
Liz Bicknell has asked me to put her name forward. She can't be here tonight.
Oh, okay.
Liz Bicknell.
And myself as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I see your hand, Michael? No.
It was a comment.
Yes.
Oh, name those who are interested. I mean, we're just gathering we're gonna put out a form and everything. I don't know that we need to.
Yeah, we don't need a full list, but if people are here and they want to
Yeah.
jump in, that's great.
Those who have offered their names here will get direct reach outs into their inbox.
Correct.
No need to sift through the front porch forum.
Okay, I think that's where we're going to leave it then for now, right?
Yeah.
Thank you all. Flood study grant authorization with Rose. Is Rose here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you meant flood study or if you meant the Better Connections Transportation Grant.
That is what we meant.
I think that's what we're meaning. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Is that good?
I mean,
Much better, because I can't speak to the flood study.
Okay.
So I want to thank the Select Board for authorizing me to apply for a Better Connections grant. And maybe I should quickly explain it because a lot of people haven't heard of it, but it's funded by the Agency of Transportation and the Agency of Commerce and Community Development jointly. They fund master plans for a village and downtown bicycle and pedestrian connectivity and safety broadly. It's a pretty standard grant package. They award $67,500 to a successful applicant, and the applicant is supposed to come up with a 10% match, which amounts to $7,500. So I got the grant application in on time on October 31st. And at the time that the Select Board authorized me to kind of go for it, I told you all that I would inquire with the Conservation Commission whether the matching money could come out of the Conservation Fund. So then since that time, the Conservation Commission had a meeting and we looked at the guidelines for the Conservation Fund and we realized it's not an appropriate use. Sorry to say, it was a unanimous decision that it wasn't a good match, or it wasn't a mesh. So if we are awarded this grant and they only award 2 per year, we will know on December 1st. And the town would have to come up with a $7,500 match. Although I don't know how quickly the town would have to do that because they allot 1 year for the project to be run. And they say the project would start March 1st and go through the following February. And although the agencies, the state agencies want the grant agreement to be signed and sent in by December 5th. So there isn't a lot of time between finding out whether we get it on December 1st and then having to sign some grant paperwork and getting it back December 5th. So I guess that's my update for you. And I also would like to know if, since this is a grant on behalf of the town, if the grant application should be posted on the town website somewhere.
I'm interested in, can you describe briefly what items, what actions would be part of this, or is that to come with a plan? In other words, we talked about trails, we talked about sidewalks, we talked about that sort of thing.
Yeah, yep, Carl. the grant funds a consultant who works with the town to develop a master plan for like traffic calming, bicycle and pedestrian safety. But they expect the town to form a steering committee and to conduct a lot of public outreach around this topic. And so based on what town folk say they want, that is what gets,
Yeah, you're good.
That's just the elevator going.
oh, okay, sorry, wasn't sure what. So it really becomes a very public process. But the way the grant is written, the geographic scope of the project would be from really Lower East Hill and Brook Road, where new housing, new park land may be created, through the lower village to the upper village. So Route 2, particularly along the upper village. And coming out of the Plainfield Forward Forum, folks said that they were interested in an off-road path to get out to the co-op. So the geographic scope includes all the way out to the co-op. And up Route 14, north a little bit to the entrance to the Creative Campus at Goddard. So that's all the area that would be encompassed. And you know what the solutions are is kind of up to the town working with a consultant, but we could sure use some traffic calming. We could use sidewalks on both sides of Route 2. That's a tall order. People ask for an off-road route to get out to the co-op, not having to go on Route 2. Before the grant was written, Carl, representing the select board, and myself met with folks from the Creative Campus at Goddard, and they're very interested in being kind of a geographic hub for this kind of connectivity. So that was a very positive meeting. So that's broadly my sketch. Maybe I should hear if you have questions.
Yeah, that's great. I should say it wasn't a little grant. It was 24 pages, as I remember. So thank you.
Karen Hatcher, I also want to thank Rose for doing that work. And just suggest that the grants administration page might be a good place if you want to post the grant application. There's a whole bunch of them at the bottom. So Rose, if that might be a good place to put it, to have
okay, thank you. I'll follow up.
Okay.
And again, we're looking for folks who might want to sit in on that, right, Rose?
If we get it.
If we get it.
Yeah.
Rose, the amounts, so the grant would award 67,500, and then the town would owe 7,500, is that right?
That's right.
And, but that's something we may have to decide quickly, it sounds like, if we were to be awarded the grant. Or do we have to make that decision before that? We don't have, do we have any sense from the treasurer or what?
You probably haven't asked the treasurer to look into it.
We could.
What were we saying?
The grant that Rose has put in
Right.
may require a $7,500 match. And so is that something we can look into to see how that would be done?
Yeah, I've got that now.
Okay, great, okay.
I'm sorry, Carl, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, which is in consultation with Carl, it seemed like our town didn't really have the bandwidth to administer the grant financially. And so this grant has a provision that the Regional Planning Commission can do that kind of administrative support for a 10% fee off the top of the grant. And so they have agreed, the Regional Commission has agreed, and that's how the grant was written.
Right. Okay, any questions? Thank you, Rose, again.
Thank you, Rose.
Welcome. Fingers crossed.
Mhm.
Okay, the LHMP final draft review and adoption.
Hi, I'm Sue
Last name still?
Relland.
And I'm Michael Billingsley, the Emergency Management Director, and also the Vice Chair of the Hazard Mitigation Committee. I think what I wanted to do in terms of what are we even talking about, to do a very brief introduction. Talking about a local hazard mitigation plan actually doesn't come out of nowhere. This is the third big one that we've done. One was done in 2015, one was done in 2020, and one is being completed now. These are big documents, and one of the things that's really helpful for people to understand is that hazard mitigation as a general term means looking ahead to anything bad that can happen to us and trying to determine what strategies we could employ so that they didn't happen to us as badly, to improve our chances of coming out without harm. And so it covers a lot of territory. And there is a lot of institutional knowledge and involvement. Like, for instance, we talked earlier about a couple of grants, one of which is to study the Great Brook. Well, that's a $220,000 grant, which was put forward as a hazard mitigation strategy last August when the funding group was talking about how are we going to deal with whether Great Brook should be, the Brook Road should be rebuilt or not. Well, that's a hazard mitigation strategy to determine where and how the Brook Road can be rebuilt. And similarly, in January, another hazard mitigation study was begun by the Agency of Natural Resources at our request, about $30,000 worth of work. And that was to determine how we could keep the neighborhood in the bottom of Great Brook around where the Mill Street and Brook Road intersection is from being badly damaged the next time we have a flood, which could be as soon as April or May. So hazard mitigation involves a lot of institutional knowledge. We've had a hazard mitigation committee since 2011, which Bram helped put together, and has had a lot of community involvement and a lot of expertise. River engineers and geologists and folks who are environmental scientists are all contributed, and this has been building and building and building. So this report is on the heels of the 2020 hazard mitigation report, which was put together partially by Sasha Thayer. And so what we have here is, we're looking at what happened in the last 5 years. How well did we mitigate hazards? So the first part of the report is actually looking at what we've done in the last 5 years to take care of the hazards that we have had. And that would look at primarily anything that was identified then, which was flooding, alluvial erosion, landslides, and wildfires and other hazards, in a general way, other hazards. So this big work that came up to us was, first of all, looking backwards, then looking at exactly now, what just happened to us? What happened to us in the last 2 years? A lot of big stuff, terrible stuff. And then how do we use our experience of the last 5 years to plan the next 5 years, and how we use our resources, how we invite help, how we get people to be aware of how they can reduce harm to themselves. The really important part is you have community participation, because if you know how to evacuate when the water is rising, you're not going to be a casualty. If you know what direction to go, if you're told that there's a forest fire happening on one side of the town, that means you're going to probably be safer than if you didn't have such a plan.
Just to fill out team introductions, I'm seeing Denise Wheeler online.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Okay, great, just making sure. Thank you.
So what I wanted to say is that we have a ton of expertise here. Not everybody knows of the work we're doing in the background, but it has, the Hazard Mitigation Committee started 6 months ago working on this, so that'd be Maggie there. And then Keith Cubbin of the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission stepped in and did this great big sketch of basically all the different parts that had to be there. And then we filled in the blanks, primarily Sil, Relland, and myself, and then ultimately contributions from Denise Wheeler, who's the Emergency Management Coordinator. And so what we have is a basic team of 3 people plus Central Vermont Regional Planning plus anybody else who stepped in or became part of the hazard mitigation meetings where we talked about this in advance. So very quickly, I'm going to run down the list and finish here. We identified, with the help of the public, we had 43, was it? 43 people who actually contributed to surveys and helped tell us what they thought were the most important hazards. And then the Hazard Mitigation Committee put in its own experience. And so on the top, like the high priority and highest impact events included flooding, obviously, but also landslides, dam failure, drought, wind damage, damaging wind, I should say, ice storms and ice jams, infectious disease and pandemics, and electric blackouts. So who knew we were working on that, but we have been. And then in a medium probability or impact, it's a combination of both that helps score it. We have extreme heat, extreme cold, wildfires and brush fires, wildfire smoke inhalation and haze, snow and blizzard conditions, and cloudburst and hail conditions. And then lastly, at the low impact or low probability, not necessarily both, but we have invasive species, earthquakes and solar storms and coronal mass ejections, which we're going to have one of tomorrow. Actually, we're going to have a coronal mass ejection that will be hitting us from a solar storm that happened 3 days ago. So then, what we're really trying to figure out in this big document, which I urge you to be familiar with, it has a lot of statistics in it, a lot of information, tables, demographics, and a lot of predictive stuff, plus some interesting appendices. We're going to have it up on the website for people to read. We're also going to have paper copies at the town clerk's office for people to read. And you can ask any of us on the Hazard Mitigation Committee or in Emergency Management if you have questions when they come up as you're reading it. So we need to know what the hazards are. We need to know the history of the hazards. We need to have impact studies, and the report is broken up into multiple impact studies by category. And then what are our mitigation strategies for the next 5 years? In other words, guiding the town. Do we want to encourage people who live in a floodplain to move to some place that isn't as endangered? As an example, that's a mitigation strategy. And then statistical analysis is being done all along with the help of Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission. And then we have to maintain the plan, which is to say, come back to it in a year, see if it needs a revision, and in 5 years it has to be rewritten again to take into account to what we do between now and 2030. So that's the plan that we're putting forward. The select board has read it. We've got some comments, I think. No, not very many comments, but at any rate, the select board has had it to read, and it's about 60 pages plus a ton of appendices, and it's going to be publicly available shortly after we go through the approval process. It's about 2 weeks from now, roughly. And if you have any questions or comments, please say them now, and Sil will be available to answer them.
Sasha.
I just want to thank you, Michael. You have put so much work into all of this. I think it's just been such a resource to the town. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I definitely could not have done it without Sil, I have to tell you. She has been absolutely indispensable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, tremendous amount of work. No specific questions from me, but it sounds like what I was reading through it, the thought process of going through each possible scenario is pretty interesting. And you have to really look ahead best you can to all the things that can happen. And I don't know how you keep your good attitude, thinking about disasters all the time, but anyway.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to be the next emergency management director, that's probably a basic qualification, that you have to have a pretty good attitude.
Any questions from the board or the audience?
Something super specific about the plan to add, like Michael said, this is like not a fixed plan, it's a live plan, so there will be kind of edits available over time, like in yearly installments of updating the plan. And it includes specific mitigation actions that our town wants to actually accomplish in the next 5 years. If anyone's interested, I highly recommend. Like Michael said, it'll be posted on the website. And if you find something wrong or an error or you want to add something, we can do that before we turn it in. Once we turn it in, it's not turned in and done forever. We're able to constantly edit. But I highly recommend looking at those actual actions that like we have decided as a planning group and as like an expertise community. Yeah.
I had just one thought. This summer, we were in a pretty severe drought. And I never think of forest fires for Vermont, but we were in the midst of something that could have been a real disaster. So, but that's all part of the report. And I was just curious about the firefighting. Our own local crews can only do so much. They can't do a lot. Is there like a way to connect to the national firefighting folks if that was an issue?
There are several ways to answer that, but quickly I will just say that our fire chief had come in, given us some of his time to speak to the Hazard Mitigation Committee, and then we put out in advance of any dry period of time, and when it was actually dry, strategies that people could put into place at their homes. For instance, to keep brush back from your house, like at least 60 feet, and to have an evacuation route plan, and have a safe destination that is not surrounded by forest, obviously. And so we are putting in strategies, and you will find some of those in the plan itself.
Great.
Yeah.
Karen?
I want to just say that by having this plan, what Michael and Sil have done is positioned the town to access grants at a higher level. This really it's a question that gets asked, how prepared are we, especially around the recovery grants, and so this work is really important work.
And
for us.
it probably can affect insurance, I would think. I'm not an expert on it, but if insurance folks know that there are plans to be safe and minimize damage and so on, that's got to be beneficial to them. So thank you.
There's that, and in other words, if you don't show that you're thinking about it, obviously you're being a little bit laid back, and that does not impress insurance people. The other thing I should say is that when we brought this to the attention of the select board about 6 months ago, when we first got the time frame in which it was due this time, we did say that we were reminded that if we get it done, our FEMA funding comes through. If we don't get it done, our FEMA funding for both the projects like removing the Batchelder Dam or even having house buyouts do not come through. This is an important document that the federal government and that particularly the state emergency planning people use for their reference as they work with us.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. Yes?
Well, with that said, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the local hazard mitigation plan.
I second that.
There is a point of order. They said it was going to be on the website and whether there are any corrections, but corrections can be made after it's adopted.
Yes.
So does it make sense to wait for the next meeting to adopt it?
I think they need it before the next meeting.
Well, I'm just thinking you might want to be certain about that in terms of the content.
Well, they also said we can make modifications to it going forward, right?
Well, and Michael has shared this with the select board individually to look at and comment before this meeting tonight as well.
Yeah, the major part of the plan that actually needs to be adopted by the select board is mainly the mitigation actions and the structure of the plan. So little edits can happen after the adoption, and that's part of it, and that's part of the FEMA guidelines that are given to us when we make the plan. So those little edits are always welcome to happen after the adoption. I hope that's clear for both of these groups.
Yeah.
I would ask Denise Wheeler, do you have anything to share or add to the conversation?
No, Sil did a fantastic job. Michael's amazing. And I'm getting up to speed.
Fantastic,
Great.
thank you.
I should also add that we have been asked to get this to the state before Thanksgiving. And the timing of this request tonight is to be sure that we can get all the appendices attached and get the whole document whipped together, which would be hard to do after the next select board meeting.
We have a motion in a second. I think we'll vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And there's no opposition, it's unanimous. So thank you, Michael and Sil.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. housekeeping thing, does the select board need to approve a member to sign the document? Because there is a paper document in front of you to sign.
I think it would be the select board chair, that actually signs this.
I mean, I think you can just sign it.
That's fine,
Do you-
if that,
do you wanna-
are you saying that that would be adequate to do
It's
that?
written down select board chair, but I didn't know if you needed to be authorized to do it.
Do you have it, or is it in the folder here?
He pulled it out earlier.
Is it out,
Carl, the document that
Oh, yeah,
we were
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at a minute
Yeah.
before the meeting?
Yeah, yep. And we can do that, and we'll just be, yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have to sign this? Did you want to look at this?
So I guess I'll make a motion to allow select board chair Carl to sign the, what does it say? Sign the certificate of adoption on behalf of the select board.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will do that.
Carl, could you sign two so we could scan one, please?
I will.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next item is the town treasurer's report.
So a little bit earlier, I sent the select board a worksheet to kind of look at, as we kind of like getting up to the point where we are talking about having to have matching funds and how we're going to make our share of things in some of these larger projects. In that sheet, what it shows is that currently, like, our debt capacity for the town is at 2.96% with our revenues that we got fiscal year '25. And the Government Finance Officers Association recommends that municipalities have a debt ratio that is below 10%. So we're pretty well set there. And based on numbers from August that I got from the Vermont Bond Bank, the change in our debt capacity, should we have to borrow $1 million for a 30-year bond, would move our debt capacity from 2.96 up to about 5.3, depending on different scenarios. When we talk about revenue, there's a couple of potential revenue loss, revenue gain sources. One of the risks that we have with how we approach the Brook Road projects further upstream, should we not move those projects forward, what would happen is we would lose a fairly large amount of revenue that comes from the state based on highway mileage. And so, we have to offset that risk there to the, if we want to take on more debt, like to do a project which is going to have a cost for us, what is the cost of inaction? So the cost of inaction in not pursuing reconstruction of Brook Road would be at minimum in terms of like our revenue every year, about 20% of our federal highway match, depending on how roads get reclassified. So just wanted to bring that to the board and, and to, understand that like right now where we are with the debt we're holding, like it's pretty good, and this is all also informed by conversations with folks at Vermont League of Cities and Towns with their municipal finance group there. So did a lot of that work this week.
Good job.
Questions?
Oh, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think those are good there.
Any other? Is the next thing the road commissioner's report?
The next thing, oh, I'm sorry.
Do you know him?
Yeah. For head
See if we
on.
can get him. Yeah, go ahead.
So to bounce off that, like, that question of like, can we, can we fund our share of these projects? Yes, it's evident that we have the ability to take on debt right now, like, especially on the outside of this, once we get up to these development and construction phases of these projects. A little bit of news today was kind of disheartening in that the federal highway folks are not in support of, or they're downplaying the viability of any kind of realignment outside of the current right of way. And so it may help, that's going to create probably a higher cost. And the design proposals that we got back from Fuss and O'Neill, who's the design firm that we're currently like in negotiation with, came back. They were high, much higher than what V-Transit expected, and we got this news from Federal Highway, so we're gonna have a little more headwind trying to get this process to move along quickly. And but the study of the brook may help inform that process in the design consultant, but we have to kind of go back to the drawing board for that. So, yeah, not a great outcome right now.
What are the next steps there?
We go back and renegotiate with Fuss and O'Neill in there, and that's something that we do with our project management firm, GPI, and Pat Travers, and then should like we get to a negotiated price for that design work, then we'll have a public concerns meeting. So that's the next step for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
If it's not snowing right now, it's gonna be snowing soon, it seems like. Are there any specific announcements around now that we're hitting snow season for residents? I know there's some places people can't park and some other things.
Yeah, it's I think on the statute, it's November 1st, November 15th, and November to May 1st, right? Is that right?
That sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
Would you be able to, from Porch Forum and other ways, maybe get the information out so folks are prepared for when we have to be plowing and that kind of stuff?
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
Thank you.
Karen Hasher. I think what we talked about earlier, the Great Brook study, the reason that we're bringing all the consultants together from FNO and also SLR. The reason to bring the river people, the water people together with the road people is to begin this conversation together. And we expect that this is going to be a long process to get everybody agreeing what the best solutions are and what the number is. But Josh is a hero in that he's been in the middle of this this whole time. And this will be a hard process, and but there will be several times where the community will be engaged because that's required in the municipal process. So stay tuned. We're not done. We're going to fight for every dollar and do it right. So.
Yay, right, every dollar.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh. I guess that does it. For reports, we have a approval of draft minutes.
Carl, can I make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 27th, 2025 regular meeting and the November 3rd, 2025 informational meeting?
I second that.
I'll second that. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And do we have a warrant?
Yes, can I make a motion to approve accounts payable for October 31st, 2025 and November 3rd, 2025, along with payroll for October 30th, 2025 and November 6th, 2025?
I second it.
Motion and second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have almost the last item is an executive session to talk about real estate. So we'll come out and make any announcements that are applicable, and then we'll adjourn. So that's it for the regular meeting.
Carl, can I make a motion to move into executive session to discuss real estate?
The executive session has to detail an exemption to the open meeting law, and that it would be
Thank
a
you.
hardship if
You're the
it's
best,
not an
ma'am.
executive session. So that
I'm not sure I understand. What'd you say?
the executive session law
Yeah,
requires a specific vote and a showing that it would be harmful if the matter were taken up in other than executive session. So the fact that it's about real estate does not necessarily mean that it qualifies for the exemption.
It's with our attorney. There's an attorney-client privilege. That is the reason for the executive
You
session.
still have to make the same showing that it
So-
would be harmful
so-
if it were disclosed
Yeah,
in
so
open session.
can I make a
And
motion that we go
I
into?
just ask you to consider to not have an executive session unless.
Sasha, since you're not at the
If I-
microphone,
if I can just-
if you could be at the microphone, which is where everyone speaks from, you'd be great, but
Or-
since I had just made a motion, which you know on the select board means that then there's a second and then you could speak, but you didn't wait for that. I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session per 1 VSA 313, section 1, subsection, section 2, the negotiation or securing of real estate purchases or lease
Is there
options.
Lori here?
we have a motion.
Do you second that?
Second? And all those in favor, say aye.
Let me just speak to that, because there are statutory requirements in order to go into an executive session, which is essentially keeping things secret from the public. And I would ask the board to consider, is it necessary to go into executive session? We all know that there has been a lot of negotiation about the possibility of buying some property, both on Main Street and on East Hill Road. And it may well be that does not need to be an executive session for there to be a decision. And I would ask that the board not go into executive session. I would ask the board to make the showing that it's necessary to prevent public harm to go into executive session, because that has not yet happened. That's part of the statute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made the motion that was seconded to go into executive session so that we could talk to our real estate attorney about purchase and sale agreements for the properties that we've been discussing as a board, and specifically talk about our options and our ability to negotiate those purchase and sale agreements given the current situation, and want to strategize with the lawyer the best ways for us to interact with these legal documents. I find it would be prejudicial if we had all of those conversations in public, including with potentially, who knows who's listening, folks who are on the other side of those negotiations being a part of those negotiations.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Perfectly amended.
Eli?
Hi, my name's Eli Warlow. Could you just say that again? I didn't understand.
So we have
Summary.
purchase and sale agreements for these two properties. Given the recent events, including the election, we have to discuss with our attorney what these events do to those purchase and sale agreements, and strategize ways that we can continue to negotiate around those properties and what makes the most sense. It would be prejudicial to do that in public, because that would then allow the folks we may be negotiating with undue information that may not help the town. It may, in a way, cost the town more money. We don't know until we talk to the attorney. And it's usually attorney-client conversations are confidential. This is a confidential attorney-client conversation we'd like to have.
Thank you.
Is our attorney here?
What's that?
Is our attorney here?
Our attorney is not yet here,
Okay,
Because we're running early.
right.
because we are running early.
All right, so
You're
we
not
are,
gonna give me a hard time?
no, we are out, so I think we can clear the
So I'm
room.
gonna pause the
Yeah, pause the
recording.
recording. and-
Eviac, next steps are gonna be discussed after our meeting with the attorney, Janice.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to return out of executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We have a statement about the executive session, and then we're going to talk about EVAC a little bit.
Yeah, no public decisions were made in executive session. I guess EVE next steps. We're looking at the next steps, given the vote last week and the options based on the real estate contracts we have entered into. The town knows that obligating money for the purchase is not supported by the town for the vote. The attorney is looking at the legal options, given the bond vote. After we hear back from our attorney, we will discuss next steps publicly. We're also looking as a board to get a final status report from the EVAC to help us move forward with next steps. Yep, use the microphone.
Step up to the mic.
My name's Elena Norway. And so, how come there were a couple other people that were in executive session? And how come
Who were
they
they?
weren't, it wasn't announced what those particular people, I mean, we knew we were waiting for a lawyer, but I don't understand why Aaron and Karen were part of the meeting. Explain that?
They were talking about potential options with the attorney. The attorney had asked for some specific information, and that they were the experts to give some of that knowledge and information. Executive sessions are the purview, we're allowed to invite folks in to give, information.
So it doesn't actually have anything to do with them possibly coming up with another idea for financing for the land?
We can't discuss what was discussed in executive session.
Well, actually, the law doesn't say you can't discuss it. What it says is, any decisions that you make must be made in a public session. So if you made a decision to explore other kinds of bond funding or other funding, that has to be a decision that's made in executive session, and that's made in an open session.
We don't have the information to make that decision.
So you made no decision whatsoever about exploring other options?
We have asked the attorney to look into other options and to have conversations about other options.
But you have not made a motion to authorize the attorney to look into other options in an open session. Any decisions are required to be made in an open session. There have been no, at this point, I've heard of no decisions, motions being made for a decision to authorize an attorney to do anything at all. So if you made some decision in executive session that you have not done in open session, that's a violation of the open meeting law.
Well, not according to the law that I'm looking at, which says no formal or binding action shall be taken in executive session except for actions relating to securing of real estate options. And also I would just note, because you brought this up earlier, the finding of premature general public knowledge is a section of the open, executive, I just want to, for certain things, labor relations, arbitration, etc., but the negotiating and securing of real estate is actually not under that section of executive or of executive session law. So you weren't correct in that we had to make the case.
Has there been any decision by the board, an executive session they would like to make a public session, to comply with the Vermont Ethics Commission decision of March 5th, which specifically ruled that a penny paid more than $374,000 is an ethics violation? Has there been any decision made to comply with that ethics decision?
I don't know.
I'm not familiar with that, what you're talking about.
I literally have no idea what you're
There
talking
is
about.
a March 5th decision which is posted on the website for the Vermont Ethics Commission, and it's posted on the website for the EVAC committee. There is also another posting of an August 19th, 2025 email from the executive director to Peter Youngbear, which suggests that there is no problem anymore because there was a fair market range, which doesn't exist. That February 11, 2025 appraisal purchased by Mr. I don't know how to say Albion's last name.
Taboomer.
Thank you. And found four places Page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 5 stated the market value is $374,000. On page 5, I think it was, it stated, if you pay more than that, you got a problem.
Did you?
And so there has been no further meeting of the Ethics Commission.
Yes, there was.
No, I've looked at the minutes, and I've looked at the actual agendas. A further taking up of this has not occurred. You did get an email back from the executive director, who is not empowered to make decisions for the commission.
Well,
and she referenced that there was a range of fair market value, which is untrue.
It's on the first page of the assessment.
No, that is the comparables. Maybe you guys are not familiar with appraisals. Every appraisal that happens, the person doing the appraisal has to find comparables. Now, these comparables were a little kind of windy because some of them were out like in Duxbury, but we won't even talk about that. What happens is, making an appraisal is you come up with a fair market value, and that is what's stated 4 times in that document.
Okay.
There is no statement that there is a range of fair market value, and the executive director cannot make decisions for the commission. So my question is has there been a decision on the part of the select board to comply with the Ethics Commission advisory opinion, which precludes any payment in excess of $374,000?
we're going by the letter that came from us from
You
the
can't do
ethics.
that. That is not a decision.
We didn't know that.
Well, of course you know that. All you have to do is look at, you had a formal decision dated March 5th. It says that lists the name of the people on the commission. All you had to do is look at the minutes. All you had to do was to say, wait a minute, of course an executive director cannot ever make a decision for a commission, just as though some executive director for the select board cannot make a decision for the select board. This is not rocket science. And so it sounds as though there has been no decision on the part of the select board and no direction to its attorney that it must comply with the Vermont ethics decision of March 5th, 2025.
We'll have to look that up. I mean, I don't know. Dan?
Well, so this is from our perspective, and I'm trying to find the documents as we're talking about it. I'm happy to find it. We sent a second report. So there was the first report. Yes, I know what we sent. I can look in my email and found it right here.
Great, because I just gave you a public record.
Yes, we sent a second report that included the assessment, that included the range and where we saw it in the report, and the 374. It included the purchase price. It included that Bram is the clerk. It included all the facts that you just laid out, and we got a decision back from the Ethics Commission that said that we were within the rights. Then, I believe August 25th, it might have been early September, we voted to sign the PNSs on these properties.
So has
that is how this went. We did not vote for 495 until we had gotten an ethics decision that said that we could do so. I'm happy to find it for you. It's a document that exists.
Has that report been posted on the website?
I don't know. I don't know every page of the website.
Great. So shall I give you my email? You can be happy to send that to me. I'm just giving you a public records request. My email is athayer@gmaver@gmavet.net.
That is faster than I can type, but
Wonderful.
if you write it down for me, I will definitely get it to you.
Okay, I'll be happy to write it on the bottom there. But however, the other problem is you need to go back and read the August 19, 2025 email. It was not a decision. It was not from the Ethics Commission. It was from the executive director. And I can tell you, I went through all of the minutes. I went through all of the agendas from March 5th onward. And the Ethics Commission has not taken this up again.
Well, rather than get into a whole new discussion about the project, we're not planning to have the town buy that property at any price.
Well, have you made that decision? Why don't you make that in public and make that motion that we are rescinding any purchase and sale agreement and we are not pursuing it?
We have to talk to our attorney about options, which is what we were just doing. Now we need time
But
for
you
the
have just
attorney.
said you're not buying the property.
Well,
so
no,
why not
I'm
be
saying.
upfront with
As I
the-
said, literally what I read just before this, The town knows that obligating money for the purchase is not supported by the town vote, so we are looking at other options. We are asking our attorney to look at how, given the contracts we have signed, we can move forward. That's literally what.
That's really all we're doing, and that's why we had him here.
Well, it sounds as though you also blessedly decided that you are not moving forward with the purchase of this property, and I would suggest if that's the
We
case.
haven't made it.
That's not what Dan said.
Exploring our options.
Yeah.
We are trying to get more information to make the best possible decision.
Dan said that it was clear that the town does not want the town to buy the property. And so now we're looking at what other options. Huge amount of thought and work has gone into this. We want to see what we can learn from it. We're getting a final, or not final, but a developmental report from the EVAC group, because they've done a huge amount of work on this. What are the options? What are the other opportunities? We have a new committee, a new group now forming so that we can look at other opportunities. We still have the same goal. We need some housing and tax base here. We're just gonna turn into a retirement community with 600 people.
You might consider that if you had actually complied with the appraisal, that there might not have been as much opposition. If you had actually complied with the document that said paying more than a dime over $374,000 is a violation. It may not be that people are so opposed to this particular property.
Well, it sounds like.
They may be opposed to paying an excessive price that exceeds fair market value. What the Ethics Commission decision actually said was, this is our decision, it's our final decision unless more information comes up. And the only additional information relating to appraisal was the town-wide reappraisal, which is required, as it states on the first page of the appraisal, to be fair market value, which valued the property at $216,800. Those are the two figures. And so, I don't know, because I don't talk to a lot of people in town.
Well, the lawyer knows this too.
Well, does he understand?
Does
he understand? Apparently, you guys have not understood that there has been no change in the ethics advisory opinion, so I'm wondering if he understands that.
We literally have communication from the Ethics Commission that says that we need, yes, we do. I mean, you might not agree, but that doesn't mean you're right.
It's an email from the director. It is
that says that the email itself says we, as in the Executive Ethics Commission, reviewed. It doesn't say I reviewed.
It didn't happen. Look at the minutes. It did not happen. It did not occur.
Well,
go do your homework. It did not occur.
We will look into it.
Can we move on to someone else?
Yeah. Someone else has a question?
Well, since you've done a FOIA, we'll wait and do the FOIA. I'll wait for you to go through the FOIA process.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why wait? Why not be nice and just?
Well, because you're not nice.
Would you state your name, please?
Just want information.
Kirsty Grant,
Okay.
kind of Jewish questions. The first, I know that this was not considered a referendum. This was.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
This is like
So that all the select board is listening.
I know that this was not considered a referendum, this vote. At what point in the process would we want to know definitively, are folks for or against this EVAC project?
I think we still have to get more information. We thought a week ago that we would have an answer. We did have an answer, and it wasn't what we had hoped as a board. We had hoped that the town would support it. The town isn't supporting it. So now we've got to reassess. We can't do that in a few days. We have to get our.
I know, I'm saying, is there a point in the process? So like, would it be before a purchase and sales was actually executed by either the town, a nonprofit, whoever?
The purchase and sales have not been executed.
That's what I'm saying. Would we want the town to officially vote yay or nay, we're moving forward with this?
I think we heard the town as the select board. We heard that the town gave a vote that they did not support us buying the land. That's pretty clear.
And by extension, it also didn't support the town managing the project.
So if a nonprofit is formed
What's the nonprofit?
I'm saying if a new nonprofit is formed
Oh, yeah.
to potentially fundraise for this purchase,
Mm-hmm.
would that take this project out of the public sphere? So would EVAC no longer be working towards this end goal? Would it now be the board of the new nonprofit that decides what happens and how?
That's not for us to say. Like, it is taking the vote, ostensibly, it takes it off of our table.
I think I'll be very clear. I am worried that a new nonprofit will be formed and that the folks who purchase the land through the nonprofit will not take town feedback because there's no requirement any longer.
That was always the reason why we wanted the town to control the project.
And I'm worried that that's what's happening, but not being communicated.
Well, that's not happening by us, but.
Not you.
So, but I think there was an acknowledged risk that by taking it out of town control, that is taking it out of town control.
Documents were filed to form a new nonprofit by some EVAC members without communicating with the rest of us. And to me, that feels really icky. And I don't like it, and I'm worried that that will take, if somehow funds are raised to purchase the land, that we will go down the path that we've been having folks advocate very staunchly against, that we will basically just have a developer that does what they want. They don't have to answer to the town. So I'm just feeling worried, and I'm expressing that to you because I'd like for you all to protect us from that, because I don't necessarily feel good about the way that the folks who filed for this new nonprofit have been communicating with our community members and myself. So I would just like to feel that you all are protecting the rest of us.
We're doing what we can, but once it leaves the control of the town, of us.
Then it's down to the planning commission and
Yeah.
development review board and like state sanctioned processes of how development happens. Like we don't have, like state law has ultimate control of private building processes, not the select board. And so if the town isn't purchasing the property, then we lose site control, and then we lose some of the control. There's still laws, there's still permits, there's still rules, but we have less control, and that mostly is because of last week's vote.
Okay, I think I just wanted to express that I'm feeling really
Okay.
uncomfortable and worried.
Well, we hear you, and we're worried about it too.
Okay.
That we don't have any say anymore.
Or less.
That could happen.
Thank you.
You know, yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
So Tammy Farnham, I guess to lead into that, I guess I'm just gonna ask the question. Our select board isn't in the position of helping or proceeding with what our community has voted down. And that means you're not engaging, so this conversation that we just witnessed, you know, Aaron and Karen sitting here using our attorney isn't identifying or trying to assist with going around what our community is asking for.
And the community is asking for us not to borrow money.
Not to borrow money, I can read off that I went door to door, and I can, I mean, I was interested, no, I think it's, what I have to say is important, because I did take time, so as much as you guys continue to say, you know, a lot of people have taken the time, I have 7 select board meetings since September, I have set up the committee meetings, I have given my feedback, I have tried to go onto the HUD website and learn the regulations and rules because I had concerns. And I even took my time to go door to door to try to make sure people knew the vote was happening. Obviously, you know, there was mailings done and so on, but I was volunteering my time to make sure people had their answers. And the thing is that it wasn't about the loan. I'd never heard once that it was about us taking on a loan.
All the signs said no.
Please, I'm talking. Thank you. I didn't hear that once about the debt and necessarily. the debt can be done in multiple ways. Obviously, the debt towards the town is taking on responsibility is debt. So you can mislead that and make it seem like it's just a loan, but that is anything that you have as an obligation. So that being said, basically what I heard was, they didn't want the town to be a developer. There's risks associated, we didn't have the experience to do that. I have my list, hold on, sorry. The construction piece of just selling land and not having a full plan of how we were gonna get the homes constructed. The town going to get sued, that was one. The homes, there was too many homes on one small piece of land, the wetlands and how it's gonna affect our current village. The town going over budget and the town being on the hook. The town's approach of being, I just said that one, lack of staff and experience to be a developer. Focusing on we needed to, as a town, to focus on fixing our community and not necessarily doing an expansion project. So I think us focusing on just properties in general is a great idea, but I don't think that the select board is in the position of ignoring and overstepping our community to try to help somebody else make that happen if that's what the intent was. And I feel like when we watched Aaron walk down and walk back up, and then we thought, oh, well, they're still waiting to have the attorney, which we never saw the attorney come. I don't know if Brian called or when it was perfect. But nevertheless, that didn't feel well. And so I think that's why people were asking the question. So I ask you, are you trying to step around what the community asked for? Or are you trying to do something to really understand what the community's been saying and is saying? Or are we gonna just try to skirt around things, and that's what people are uncomfortable with, and I feel it's creating division, and do we really need to do that?
We have enough.
Or are we all going in as a team? Let's be a team.
We have enough on our plate. We don't need to be getting into new projects. We are trying to we heard the community on the vote. We don't want to borrow money, we're not going to borrow money.
So you didn't answer the question. Are you trying to skirt around?
We're not doing anything.
Okay,
We just formed a new committee who will be looking at options, and we will be wanting to see what they come up with for other ideas. And if we have to borrow money for that, we'll have to address that.
So where's the vote in public on the new committee?
What?
Where's the public vote on the new committee and who's on it?
Well, we missed that, we discussed it, we had a public vote this evening. We are going to let people know how they can apply. We're going to try to put.
We're going to go through the same process as we did.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Please forgive us.
No, that's okay.
We're volunteers here, and you know the game.
I get that, I do,
And
but I'm feeling uncomfortable because I understand what executive meeting does mean. And I feel like what happened tonight feels like something's being done behind the town's people's back. And I don't like that feeling. So I'm asking you to be honest and sincere and tell me that you have no engagement or understanding that there's something going on around the voters.
We talked in executive session about the vote, about how we deal with the contracts that we have, and that's what we're talking about.
Okay, so you're saying no, and I should feel concerned.
May I, please?
Sure,
yeah.
Absolutely.
The talk of blanket referendum on the project writ large was not in the vote. That was placed on the vote by those against the vote, predominantly. Okay, there's a lot of nuance. I want to acknowledge that there are a lot of aspects that made people uncomfortable about it. And many of those aspects, if not all of those aspects, contributed to the loss of the bond vote. What is clearest to us from the language of the bond vote is that the community is not comfortable with the select board going into debt for this project.
Or managing it.
Or managing it.
That was pretty clear.
That is very clear. And that's like a lot of mitigated risk that is no longer on our table. That is what we know right now.
Okay, so I appreciate you communicating that today, but again, I've been to select board meetings. Just being clear on what the conversations are, I do feel like a lot is happening behind the scenes, and it's really unclear as a community member to follow what your thought, that process, because that's not what we've been hearing, that's not what we've seen. You know, so I guess I came to Monday's meeting, and that's not what I was hearing. So I appreciate you guys, you know, saying that and making it clear, and it also makes me feel better that you're not trying to skirt around voters, because I think that that would be detrimental to our town. I think a lot of people are concerned, and I think if we just stop and listen, and I'm hoping this new, you know, committee will allow people to stop and just listen instead of just having responses. Sometimes you have to listen to people's concerns before you can resolve them. And every committee, I used to, when I was working on the SACU, I'd actually be put on committees to figure out the whole scheme of things, the pros, the cons, you know, and try to resolve them, because you can't, as a community, we can't resolve things unless we listen to concerns. And that's my concern for you guys, is that I haven't felt that I've been heard. And so I'm glad to hear that it sounds like you have been hearing, and potentially you're not trying to skirt around what the community wants. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, and I'll just say, any vagueness about the property sale and what's gonna happen in the next week, next month, we have just been in executive session, and our attorney has said, like, the vaguer you are, the better, until we actually work out what's going on. And that's attorney advice we're getting because of the situation we're in with the real estate contracts, et cetera.
But
So
we're not in the position to have our attorney working for another group.
they're not working for another group. He's working for us.
I understand.
And also, just so you know, he's not taking a single dollar from us. He's actually been working for us pro bono this whole time. So there's no actual town finances going towards his salary either. But he is working for us. We asked him to be at the meeting. We asked him questions. Yeah.
And we had to give
And you
him.
already knew about the group that had formed this, the nonprofit group to come up with new fundraising. You already knew about that group?
No. What are you talking about?
Why were those two people sitting here? What town information were they providing to you?
Well, Karen has been, that grant she wrote.
Yeah, so are we looking to withdraw the grant?
Well, so, go ahead.
Well, we're worried about the grant. We'd like to get it, honestly.
So if we come up with other fundraising by the 20th.
So we are proceeding with the project, then you're not withdrawing, you guys aren't thinking about withdrawing that.
Well, we were getting
other
information so that we could, we have not made a decision. We made the decision and voted publicly to put in the application. We have made no decision beyond that about the grant.
And the grant is not just for the project up here. The grant is also for river repair, it's other things. So,
I will point out, I did not speak on Monday's meeting.
Would you
but
speak
I
into
did-
the microphone?
Sure, thank you, sorry. I was
And
speaking.
Janice's hands up.
So I did want to point out, Karen
Oh.
did say to the committee, I was in the meeting, Peter was here, that if we presented those grants as one, it would not affect us. The state will be able to identify, like, it's not all or nothing. So we have two projects under one grant, and
It's not all or nothing.
right, it is, and they did because you guys asked that question, and they were very clear with us that Martin Meadows can be funded without the.
well, we're hoping
expansion.
that's the
I
case.
just want you guys to know that, though.
Yeah, okay.
Because that was not clear on the Monday meeting, but they were very clear at the meeting when they decided how to proceed with it.
Yep, okay.
Do you want to do Janice?
Yeah, Janice?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a little confused, I guess as we all are. If the town is not buying the land, why have a meeting with the lawyer about buying the land? If
We
it's
didn't
not
have a meeting about buying the land. We had a meeting about the real estate contracts that we have already entered into.
Yes, but why, if you're not buying the land, why are those contracts relevant except insofar as somebody else, perhaps this nonprofit, might be buying the land? It just seems like it's a little bit of a slight special pleading to say the meeting's not about buying the land, it's about making the project go forward or something. But I just don't understand. And
You would say
obviously
make the
we're all
project go forward.
extremely suspicious, but and I'm sorry about that, but there's a reason for that. Um, there's a reason for why we're so suspicious. And I hope you understand that, but I just don't understand why, Karen, Lauren, Donny Osmond, and Arian and Kim are creating this new nonprofit. It seems pretty clear that they want to raise money to buy the land. Was the town lawyer advising you and them how to do this? And if that is so, I also agree that that's inappropriate. Thank you.
Yep. Did you have a question?
Or comment?
Rhonda?
First of all, I agree with you that, the town doesn't want us to take on the cost. I think you're right on there. I think in regards to the project management of it, I think you're right on there as far as the town not wanting you to do it. I'm more interested in site control in the HUD document, and it appears that that's related, so you have to have site control, I believe, to move forward with that grant, but I'd like that confirmed. And is that anything that you'll be looking at to obtain site control from a different manner to move forward with the HUD grant? That's what I would like to know.
We do know that we need site control, or at least it was going to be favored in the grant.
Right.
But I think Karen also felt that the grant, that they could see that there was a purchase and sale signed, that we signed, that would be close to having site control. So that's where we're at. We want to play this out as long as we can. It's like we don't want to start slamming doors, but play out the what's already been done.
Which brings me, I think, to my hopefully final question for you. Because of the EVAC meeting that's potentially going to happen on Thursday, can you just for my own purposes, just give me just a little bit more guidance on what you're kind of expecting out of that group for Thursday? Do you happen to know?
Yeah, I think we were asking for, and Arian did like kind of a verbal, very fast version, but we're hoping to just have the group, obviously debrief what happened with the vote, but also take what work they've done and put it up against the charge that we gave them as a committee, and show us the places that they've met the charge, where there might be gaps, based on the vote. Do they have the ability to move forward on any things or not? And hopefully all the working groups can report in on their work. We want to make sure that all the work that was done is archived and in a place that is available, because there's probably a lot of lessons learned and information in that work. And we want to get that as a report, maybe a final report, but definitely a report from the EVAC.
Yeah, and I guess my last comment is I'm really optimistic about the new committee you're going to be spinning up. I really, think it can make a big difference for the community, so I'll leave it at that.
Yep, good. Jared?
All right, Jared Birchmore. I just have two things. I think I want to address directly what you had said, Tammy, of the what Karen had said, Karen Hatcher, about whether the grant could be, parceled out and certain projects be funded or not. I think Karen said pretty clearly, yes, that can happen, and we don't have any say on how that happens. It is the grant committee and whoever is reviewing and approving those grants that gets to decide, yes, this project, no, this project. And I think that Karen said that pretty clearly. It's in their court and their decision on what they choose to fund or not. That's out of our hands now that the grant application is with them. The second thing that I want to say, and it's in response to Kirsty's comments, is that I think it's valid to have concerns if there's another group forming to try to buy this land, but the entire reason for the EVAC and the development of the EVAC and the project as a town project was so that there was town control over how it went and the design and all of that. I was on the EVAC at the very start. I was on the ad hoc committee before that. But we have known and shared all along very transparently that there is a risk of other actors or other developers coming and purchasing the land and taking the control of whatever happens there away from the town and the community. And I think what Dan had said makes a lot of sense. If there's another developer, they do have to still abide by rules from the Development Review Board and the state and all of these other things, but that's private development. And if it goes and it fails as a town project, that's how that goes. Thanks.
Yeah, oh, Eli, next, yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead. Okay.
My name's Elena Norway, and I'm thinking about, especially the last comment, there's a lot of people that don't feel like they have any control over what's going on, even though in the committee, the EAC feels to us, or me, I guess, that it hasn't been listening to people and what they want. So it doesn't feel like just because it's in the town's control that we have any control over it. Honestly, we asked for a referendum vote and we couldn't get one because we heard it wasn't binding. It wouldn't be binding, you know? And then we came up with the bond vote, and that to me was a referendum vote on the project. I know a lot of people, and I also went door to door, and I heard a lot of concerned citizens that don't feel they want development, but they don't want that 40-unit development on that property, and they have no control over it. So voting no was the only control they had, and they were hoping that then the town was going to come together and work together for the best for the whole community. Not just, it's like a steamroller, that EVEAC, and that's how I feel, and I know a lot of people. Well, and to me, that's the no vote. It's no to this project, the way it is.
Well, I as a board member and select board chair, I apologize to you if that committee that we were responsible for weren't listening. You know, we get reports from them, they would tell us what was happening and so on, but we had expected also that they would listen to your ideas, and I know that there were all kinds of ideas. The select board can't listen to everything, unfortunately. That's why we have the committee. But we were responsible for the committee, and if they were failing in listening, then I'm sorry about that.
I mean, may I respond? Or Dan?
Yeah.
Go ahead. The last 6 months of this process, during which time there have been a great many public comments that are, you know, crying out, listen to me, we have concerns. The last 6 months, at least, have been, oh, there's this giant grant that, you know, it's an astronomical figure. None of us are going to sit here and say that like $9.4 million isn't a lot of money to a town with a budget of $1.5 million. It's a lot of money. Therefore, this grant came along and it derailed public input, straight up, derailed. And then the stipulations of the grant had that we were ineligible, or it would be like a bad idea to include the cost of the land in the grant application. So the bond vote. And so when like in this like open window after the grant application where public comment, the design process could have been reopened, it didn't, because then all of a sudden it was all about the bond vote and the, you know, campaigning against it and for it. But like that has filled the last 6 months. And so there's a ton of town commentary kind of flying into, it's not exactly a void, but it's like a maelstrom of wind that is ongoing. And there's been no opportunity to reopen the design process to receive those comments and allow the plan to grow smarter.
And I'll just say too, because, I mean, I think the EVAC folks have done a lot of great work and they put in a ton of time. I think it is true that they did not do everything that people pushed for. But I don't think you can say that nothing about the project has changed based on public comment. I mean, the easiest example is from 40 lots to 40 units. I don't know if the reality sinks in that when you go from 40 lots to 40 units, right away, immediately, because Habitat for Humanity was gonna make duplexes, that actually takes the project from 40 lots to 35 lots. That one decision, that one little tweak that still met what the grant was looking for, like literally can change the lot number. Because it says units, not, I mean.
I totally agree, but I was in the meeting and they would not change the map.
No, I know, but because it was so late in the process.
Yeah,
The map can still
they would
change.
change
The
the
map
map
can
and
still
then-
change.
I know.
Right, like,
Yeah.
like, it wouldn't make sense to change the map from 40 to 35 lots on a whim, right? They really quickly in one day changed the map, and then what we would probably hear is you've just changed the map, and in the way you've done it, you've actually hurt the wetlands more, or something else. Why did you go with that lot on this side instead of cutting this lot on this side? Like, it was a time thing. But I will say, for me, when I heard it, when I talked to Karen about it, when I talked to other folks, this means the next time we redraw the map, which is after this grant process, it's gonna be 35 lots, maybe small. Maybe we talk downstream into doing duplexes, and now this 35 lot project is now a 30 lot project, right? Like, these are all conversations that we can have if we were the ones doing it. And I feel like what I am fine with saying EVEAC did not take every recommendation and did not listen to everything. But to say that they didn't change, that the project hasn't changed over time, based on feedback, based on things that folks have been saying, based on things George and Rose said, things that Janice said, like, it is changing. Maybe not enough, maybe not fast enough for people. But I think it's really disingenuous to say that nothing has changed about the project based on.
I don't think I said nothing.
But you said you weren't being listened to.
You weren't listening to.
But they weren't listening, they just weren't
referendum
agreeing.
where
They just weren't
town
always agreeing.
Can speak whether they want this project or not, and we didn't get a chance to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what this vote told us.
The Vermont League of Cities and Towns lawyers recommended that we not do a vote like the way that you asked for, that it was that it was bad practice and bad legal precedent, and just not something that they should do. Like so we are taking legal advice from experts on how to do these kinds of things. Maybe they're wrong, but we also don't want to get the town into problems because we're not following. We literally asked for a decision of their, like, lawyers, and they said, don't do it like that. You can do things, you can do, like, because it's how we run the town, right? Like, we have a town that has town meeting, everybody comes into this room, and they vote on most things, right? And because that's the way we do most things, that's the way we should do maybe this thing, but it's not advisable, because we as a town have not voted, other than money, electing some folks, but money and electing some folks, the town is not in our charter allowed other kinds of votes. Like, it's just, we haven't. We have said we want to do it in person. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe everything should be a ballot, and then we could have more different kinds of ballots. But that's not the charter we have as a town. And other towns do. Other towns can have lots of different kinds of votes, but we have decided to have an in-person meeting in March that decides a lot of the fate of the town. And so because of that, VLCT said it is not recommended that you do a referendum type vote by Australian ballot in November. We're just following advice.
Yep. Eli, you've been waiting.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My name is Eli Barlow, and I, like many in this room, am very frustrated. So I just wanted to go back to 40 units, right? The 40 unit plan with the site map was created by a public process in this room. The public process had the constraint of the project being self-funded, which drove the number of lots up, right? Great, okay. 40 units came in one of those publicly designed sites. 70 also came in one of those publicly designed sites, right? So, then, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra Vitzthum met with the abutters and concerned folks afterwards and negotiated Do you,
There's no butters here, so I have no idea.
Well, Denise is behind you on.
right, and negotiated about getting a lot number of 40 units. More public input has happened since then. The grant was applied for with this site map that was drawn. And in the meeting where the EVEAC voted to put this forward, I said, maybe as the grant negotiations happen, that number will go down, right? And just like you said, Tammy, it's not all or nothing, right? But to hear that you went out and went door to door and campaigned to get people to come to vote, but also to provide information. Yeah.
Provide information.
Meetings of the town, point of order.
Yeah, go ahead.
Meetings of the town cannot second guess the motives of members of this community. Oh my goodness.
Is that an actual point of order?
I know.
Did you make that point of order when someone was talking about the intent of the EVAC members? I missed that, Charlie, when you called that out earlier in the meeting.
Where were you?
So why am I not allowed to talk to my community members?
Oh, no, you are. I'm saying that.
Eli's not speaking for the select board.
No, absolutely not. I'm talking for me.
So why would I not be able to talk to my community? Did you
You
know that
totally
your
are.
community
No.
members?
He hasn't finished. He
Yeah.
has not finished. Let him finish.
Charlie, point of order.
Charlie interrupted him.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just really frustrated that you went out and did you encourage people to vote no?
No, we did not.
You went,
We wanted to make sure that everybody knew that there was a vote. That's how we went to the door. We
That's
want
what
to
I
make
know.
sure you know there's a vote. It's a very important vote. And then some people said we already did vote, so we chit-chatted
Yeah.
and whatever. Other people said, you know, their shoulders like released and they had questions. They
Yeah.
didn't know. We talked to people earnestly about it, and that's why I feel that I got the idea that people do not want the project.
And
most of the
is
people.
it not okay for me to say, I recommended vote no? You were voting yes?
it absolutely is okay
The
for you
only
to do
difference
that.
I was
Oh, can
going
we,
to my community.
No,
can we let people,
Yeah.
let's finish your point. We have some,
Hey, Eli, if you just turn your comments this way, not towards Stan.
Totally, thank you.
There you go.
I find it really frustrating that members of my community campaigned to encourage a no vote. And that no vote resulted in you not having, in the select board not having the choice to say yes or no to this block loan.
right,
Yeah, that's what I want to say.
okay, thank you. Yeah,
Jake McBride, I guess I just have a question for folks that are still here. What,
I just don't believe.
One
let's-
conversation.
please.
what is the goal at this point? The no vote privatized this. The no vote
Jake, just
privatized
towards
this.
us. Thank you.
I'm curious what the goal is at this point. The no vote privatized it, and people are still here yelling at y'all and saying, you know, what, do this, do that.
We're already, our decision's been made for us. We don't.
It happened.
Yeah.
It is now not in the town's control, including ours as the town's people. We voted no. We voted no. It is not the town project anymore. Why are we still here? Why are we still giving these people a hard time?
So are we withdrawing our grant for that piece?
That has nothing to do with it.
No, but you can withdraw our part of the grant, you can amend the part of the grant to do something different, to maybe support the new project.
What new project?
Well,
There is nothing drawn up. There is nothing drawn up yet. If that committee comes forward with a project, I would love to see that happen. I would love to see that happen.
It doesn't have to be a project, it can just be,
Well,
Sure.
okay, if I can address that, it has to be a project to get money. And if we were to change the status of the grant that we have already in place, it's gonna throw it out, I think. So we kind of have to go with what we've started with and make changes if we get it.
And I'll just say for CDBG, I always get that wrong, CDBG DR grant, it is not a planning grant. It is explicitly a housing and infrastructure grant. The money that's available that we know we have in the state, that's already came from the feds, it's not all money that's coming from the feds anymore, is for projects, not for planning.
And if we have other projects, we can look at those. But this is the one in front of us.
So it's,
But
point is-
that's where we were.
Yes.
At the vote time, and then the vote failed, so now it's like, oh, now
It is
what?
no longer the select board or the townspeople's responsibility or ability, frankly. It is now a private decision, and that is the decision that we made as a town. And I think a decision that I had concerns about the whole time, and I tried to voice that to people.
Thank you. I don't think we're gonna get to any resolution tonight, but I appreciate the input, and we'll look in some things that have been presented that we didn't know about or weren't aware of. Our attorneys get working on getting some answers for us that will help us close out whatever we can and get the best benefit from what we've started, and we'll be getting a report from the EVAC group as well, and we'll be getting some information from a new group, I hope.
Yeah, and our next select board meeting is November 24th, right?
Which segues us into...
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, Carl, at 8:56 PM.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
You gotta take the second now.
Okay, I'll take the second, we'll have some discussion. Okay, we have a motion and a second, discussion. Michael?
I'm not discussing the motion, I'm sorry.
What's that?
I'm not discussing the motion to adjourn.
Oh.
Is that all right if I speak?
Well, go ahead. I didn't see it. I didn't see it, but I was, let him speak, yeah.
Okay. I'm not here to be angry. And although we should be speaking to the board, I do want to address what Jake said. And we're all individuals in this loose group that we call Plainfielders for Responsible Growth, which is a silly name, but it's what we had to come up with really quickly for a postcard. And we all have different points of view. Some of us are, from your point of view, more strident, some of us are not. Some of us have moderate views about the proposed project, some of us have absolutist views about the proposed project. The reason I think those of us who are lingering and still want to speak is not because we want to yell at the board or yell at the proponents of the project. We do have concern that, among other things, that this new nonprofit that just formed, that we're all aware of, but nobody wants to really acknowledge, could acquire the land and even conceivably donate the land to the town so that the town could start again. But we really want you to understand that despite what the language of the vote was in terms of the bond article, the reason it was so overwhelmingly defeated was not about $600,000. It was not about whether the town should borrow money. That was not a lot of money compared to $10 million. It was a little teeny bit compared to $10 million. The people voted no because they didn't think the project deserved to live unless it was extremely modified, unless it was more appropriate to that piece of land and to the neighborhood and to the town. And unfortunately, well, understandably, the board seems to not want to let go of it quite yet. You're acknowledging that it's out of your control at the moment. That's true. but you aren't letting go of it because you're not backing out of the grant application and because you are having conversations that you can't share with us about alternatives, options, what's going to happen to the purchase and sales agreement, et cetera. It's just smacks of something going on that we're worried about. That you may want to pursue something that the voters have told you they don't want. And if some compromise could be made, it should have happened a long time ago, but maybe there's that kind of possibility, but
That's
the
what
way it's all gone down, it's like we were frozen out for a long time, and despite what Dan says, very little was modified in that plan. Yes, 5 units were taken out, and I watched that meeting. It was at the last minute during that meeting that everyone made the decision. And Eli was almost a vote no at the beginning, if I'm correct. There were 4 definite votes no, and the chairs were worried about that, and I think that's why it went from 40 to 35, and Eli was, I believe, one of the architects of making it a little bit better. But if I got that wrong, I apologize.
Okay.
All right, and I won't ramble on, I'll finish. That's my message.
Okay.
I think the board needs to take us seriously, and not us, me and a couple of people who carry it, but 11% more of the town went that way. It's a significant vote.
5%, but yeah.
No, it's
Of the
not.
full vote, of the full town, if you take the town, if you take the.
50%
We hear you.
of the town voted.
We hear you.
I hear what you're saying, I just also, I don't want to discount.
11% more
Of the
voters
vote. Yes.
chose no.
Correct.
That's a big number in
Yeah.
any election.
I fully understand.
Thank you.
Yep. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. I'd like to have a vote.
I think we're losing quorum, so I don't think
Yeah.
we have 2 members leaving, so I don't think we have quorum anymore, so we have to adjourn.
So we're gonna have a vote. All those in favor of adjourning?
Can we keep the Zoom going so that Janice
Say aye.
can speak?
Sure.
Yeah.
Just turn the recording
Come
on.
on, quick.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.
Can we
She's just turning the